Chapter 2, Lesson 4, Percents, Decimals, and Fractions. This lesson has a lot of different things to go over that usually takes 2 days to go over it all for the students to understand. The first thing is looking at percents that are less than 1. When I showed them this, they thought this was either 2% or 20%, but both of those were incorrect. 0.2% is less than 1. What confuses them is we have a decimal and a percent in this number. So I wrote a list of all the numbers that are smaller than 1%. We have 0.1%, 0.2%, all the way to 0.9%, and then the next one would be 1%. And we're going to change 0.2% into a fraction. And a percent, like I told the class, is always out of 100. So 0.2% is out of 100. And we're going to do like we did before, and we're going to divide. The numerator we call Jack, because Jack goes in the box. And we're going to divide that by 100. Now 100 cannot go into 2, so we got a 0, and 100 cannot go into 20, so we add another 0. So 100 into 2 goes 0, 100 into 20 goes 0, 100 into 200 goes 2. So this is actually changing a percent to a decimal. Even though this has a decimal, it also has a percent, and we want it to just be a decimal by itself. So we always put it over 100, divide it by 100, and if I ask them to change 0.2% to a decimal only, then this would be their answer. In order to change it to a fraction, we still need this 0.002, which is 2 thousandths. We have the tenths place, hundredths, and the thousandths. And actually we don't need the zeros because we know it's going to be 2 thousandths. We're going to reduce this by 2 and get 1 500ths. So 0.2% as a decimal would be 0.002, and as a fraction would be 2 over 1,000. When reduced would be 1 over 500. And that's how you would do it with all the numbers that are less than 1. Now we have numbers that are bigger than 100%. 170. We want to change that to a decimal and a fraction. So 170%, no matter how big it is still going to go over 100 because it's still out of 100%. And we're going to change this one. First, we'll change it to a decimal. Well, we'll change it to a fraction first. So 170 divided by 100. 100 goes into 170 one time. 70 is left over. We're not adding any decimals. We're going to just put 70 up here over 100. And then we reduce that by 10. And we get 1 7/10. Now if I wanted to add a decimal over here, I could to get my decimal form. Add my decimal, put it up here, add a 0, and then 100 into 700 goes 7. So I have 170, I have that as a fraction, and I have it as a decimal. Now this one reads as 1 7/10, which you could change to 1 7/10. Here we have 250%. So we're going to change this one to a decimal and a fraction. And 100 into 200 goes 2. Add my decimal, add a 0, and 100 into 500 goes 5 times. So there's my decimal form, 2.5. And if I want to change that to a fraction, 0.5 is 50 cents of a dollar, which is half. So that will be 2.5. Or they could have done 2 5/10, because the 5 is in the tenths place. And then reduce that to still get a half. If I wanted to change it to a fraction by doing division, I could have done it like I did the last one for 170. 100 into 250 goes 2. 50 is remaining, so I would put 50 over 100, and when I reduce that, I'm still going to get 2.5. Now we're going to change a mixed number to a percent and into a decimal, I believe. Before we can do that, we have to change our mixed number to an improper fraction. And this is what they learned in 5th grade. You go 4 times 1 plus 1. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5, and the denominator stays the same. So we have 5/4. Now I'm going to change this to a percent. Now we know that it's going to be out of 100%, so I want my denominator as 100. So to get that, we're going to go 4 times 25. 5 times 25, and we're going to get 125. So that will be 125%. Because right here, this is out of 100%. Let's try one more. 2 9/10. So my denominator is going to stay 10. 10 times 2 plus 9. So 10 times 2 is 20, plus 9 is 29. We want to get this out of 100%. So 10 times 10 equals 100. And 29 times 10 equals 290. Now we're going to change a decimal to a percent. So 1.68 or 1 68 hundredths. Remember, a percent is out of 100, which has 2 zeros. So what we're going to do is we're going to move this decimal 2 places to the right. 1, 2. So this would be 168%. We get rid of the decimal and replace it with the percent sign. Here we have 325 or 3 25 hundredths. 1, 2. And that would just be 325%. .5 or 2 5/10. We move it 2 places to the right, 1, and we have to move it one more time, so we're going to add a 0, 2. So 2 5/10 as a percent would be 250%. Here we have 0.0075 or 75, well, I believe that's millionths now. We're still going to move it 2 places to the right. 1, 2. So my answer is going to be 0.75%. So this is not quite 1. This is more than 0.7%, but less than 0.8%. It's right in the middle. And it's less than 1% because we have the percent sign and we have a decimal still too. So we have 350%. We want to put that as a decimal and a fraction. These are some of the homework problems. 350 over 100. So 100 and 350 goes 3. I can add my decimal and 0. 100 into 500 goes 5. So here I got 3.5. Change that to a fraction. Keep my 3 because it's on the left side of the decimal. So just keep that, leave that alone. And I'm going to put 5 over 10 because that's 5/10. Reduce that, I get 3.5. Or if you should, with anything that's 0.5 automatically means half of something, half of 100%. So 350% as a decimal is 3.5, and as a fraction is 3.5. And we're going to change 9 3/4 to a percent. So 4 times 9 plus 3. And denominator is going to stay the same. So 9 times 4 is 36, plus 3 is 39. And I want to get this out of 100%. So 4 times 25, and 39 times 25, and I'm going to get 975. So this would be 975%. Then we have our decimals that we want to change to a percent. Remember, this is out of 100%. Got 2 zeros here, so I'm going to move my decimal 2 places to the right. 1, 2. So this would be 0.9%, or 9/10. This was a long lesson. Chapter 2, lesson 4 is long. There's 4 things you'll have to know for this lesson. And I hope these extra problems will help you understand it better.